Thank you very much, Lascar. Minister, you're welcome to the House. Minister, we're in an electoral cycle right now, and one of the things that I regard as very poor form from this House, and that is the information provided to candidates as to the implications that may affect them on election to the Parliament, whether it's the Lower House, the Dáil or the Seanad. In my own case, when I got elected to this House, I took a hit of €10,000 a year on salary because although this House is based on people bringing their professional expertise to the House, based on the panel they're elected to, during the crisis in the 2008 to 2013, legislation was written and statutory instruments was written, and one of those statutory instruments prevented members of this House who were employed in education from continuing in their educational role. And in my particular case, it cost me $10,000 a year. I should have been informed of the implications of being elected before I was elected. I know other colleagues have suffered a hit of as much as $20,000 a year. A member of the public seeking election in this House should never have to sacrifice income as a result of it. Some of the things that have happened here, there are issues with respect to salaries for members of this House. There are issues with respect to pension. In my own case, I make full pension contributions and I'm obliged to do that for 20 years service in this House, but I do not qualify for a pension at the end of my service. I get a paltry sum to make up the difference. PRSI, again, brought in the FEMPI days, and it is widely accepted that the PRSI that was inflicted on members of this House, members of the judiciary, the Attorney General and the President under Class K are unconstitutional, yet they continue to fight that one. So I think we need to do that. I want to support Senator McDougall on a referendum to cap the number of TDs that will be elected. We cannot continue to see the chamber grow over and over and over again up to maybe 1,000 people in the future. But I also would say if you're going to run a referendum on the number of TDs, we should also increase the number of ministers. It is absolutely outrageous that some ministers are carrying 3 and 4 portfolios. We should have ministers who are assigned to a single job overseeing a single department, and I have no difficulty in supporting that. I know there may not be great public taste for that, people seeing them as being well off, looked after, whatever. But we need ministers who are on top of their brief all of the time. And finally, I will say, with respect to your own department, there are times when I have found that the overarching reach of public expenditure and reform has been limiting, if you want, with respect to what we can do in the public service. But they do have to be admired for what they did during the crisis in this country. But maybe it's time now to revert back to a single Ministry for Finance. I do support the bill and I support everything about it apart from that. But I would ask that we would take on board an information booklet for people who are seeking election, and as soon as they come into this House, then that they get an information booklet with respect to their terms and conditions of employment and how those terms and conditions, it's what any good employer would do. And I think sometimes we're afraid to do it because we're afraid of a public lashback. The public will never lash back over what they see as reasonable. Thank you.